I'm just going over the pages with some gesso, but I wanted a really, really thin coat, so I'm applying it with a credit card. And then of course I'm just wiping off the last little bit on another page. So because it's on so thin, it doesn't take very long to dry. And I just dry it off a little bit with a heat gun, and then just let it sit for a little while because of the gesso pooling in the middle there, and that'll help stop the pages from bleeding. So now I'm going to pull a stencil out after I finish drying this off, and I'm going to use a light modelling paste because I just want a little bit of texture on the page, and I'm heading towards a real kind of vintage theme again because I was in a darker sort of a mood today, and you know, just really reflective, and didn't really have a great day in general. So this is almost like a kind of a negativity smackdown page, and I'm just putting it in random places in odd numbers on the page and just wiping off the stencil. You always got to do that when you're using gesso and modelling paste through stencils, but I love it. It's looking good. And light modelling paste from Liquitex doesn't take very long to dry, so I just dry it off, let it sit for a little while, and come back, and within about 15 minutes it's dry. So I remembered a piece of fabric that I was gifted in Happy Mail. Here it is. Gorgeous it is. And I thought I'm going to cut a little swatch of that out and just, I've decided that I'm going to colorise it up because I know the colour scheme that I want to do, and you can see the little swatch of fabric at the top because I kind of didn't want to give away the colour schemes straight away, but I used inks and paints and fluid acrylics. So now I'm just using some acrylic ink, and I was impatient so I just chucked it everywhere. But I'm wanting it to drip all over the gesso, and it pools in the modelling paste, and the modelling paste is more absorbent than the gesso. So then I'm getting a roll and I'm rolling it up, and of course that gives an extra pattern in the, so I'm just going pattern in the gesso. You can see that, and so I'm just doing some more dripping and bringing it across. And this is all about layering. So I've got some more, and I've got that piece of tape there, but you can see it's bled through, and it's kind of, I don't mind that it's bled through. I just kind of wanted to set a different sort of gradient, and I knew, as you can see here, that along that edge it would then start to get deeper because the ink would have pooled underneath that tape. Oh, and I had a spill, look at that, awful. So so I had to mop it up because I couldn't scrape it back into my acrylic, so I've lost half of my magenta artist acrylic. I was a bit upset by that, but I did manage to transfer it onto the page, and you can see like it's wiped some of the modelling paste off because I applied it with a baby wipe. So now I'm going around with Tim Holtz ink in mahogany with a dabber, and the dabber is dying, so you can see tiny little flecks. That's part of the inking tool, so I then brush it all off. And now I'm going over with a Stamp It Up stamp pad in, like, I don't know, raspberry or something, really pinky, a really pinky magenta colour, and you can start to see the richness of the layers really showing through at this point. This is some a fluid acrylic burnt umber, and I'm just rubbing it on with a baby wipe because I don't want it really, really strong. So I'm going through some of the stamps that I'm using frequently at the moment, and I've picked out one that's a little bit of a vintage kind of a theme, which I really, really like. And I'm going to use archival ink, and I wanted it to mainly show in that middle part there, but now I'm just going to get the rest of the ink off by randomly putting it, just so that you can see the hint of the patterns on the page. So nothing terribly, you can just see shadows of it, on the page, but at that one place, and this is just a texture stamp, and it's like a wire fence sort of texture stamp. So I like the layers and layers and layers, I tell you. So now I'm pulling my watercolours out, and I've got a nice magenta there, and I'm just pooling it. You can see that beautiful vibrancy of the magenta, and I'm just letting it drip and just forming it just in the middle there, and that's just to add a little bit of texture into that one spot. I let it go down, sprayed it a little bit, and then just let the drips not completely show. So I rubbed some of them out, left some of them there, but I liked the drip. And I've got the fabric here, so I'm looking at the fabric and I'm looking at a particular picture that I like. So I've got this piece of ephemera that my friend Heidi Richards in the States, she's just sent me the most awesome ephemera. And it's this girl with her arms outstretched to the sun. And it's a really dark picture, and I'm leaving it really dark because I was in that kind of mood where she was in darkness, but what she's doing is reaching up to the sun. So she's reaching for something that she hasn't got yet. She hasn't got that sunlight yet. So I threw some more of that burnt umber ink, artist acrylic ink, and completely doused it, and then I started layering extra in a deep walnut vintage stain from a distress, what is it, distress ink, someone could probably read it better than I. And then I'm applying it with matte medium, soft matte gel all over the top. And I know the inks run just a little bit, but I'm not really that concerned by it because I really want it to be melded into the page very, very well. And I'm deciding to build a bit of a nest on the other side. I was taken back to some days where I used to do this in my scrapbooking pages a lot before I started art journaling. I've included at the end some of my scrapbooking pages so that you can kind of see where I got the idea from, because I used to do it in scrapbooking a lot. I used to do nests and layered papers, and it's just a paper crafting technique that I found, and I just wanted to use small little layers because I had the tiny little label of that I'd ripped off the bottom of that photo of that woman, and you can see me tearing it just at the bottom of the screen here, and it's this tiny little thing where it says she has her hands upraised to the sun, and I wanted to keep that. I didn't want it to make it really big. I didn't want to be writing on this. I just wanted it there. I wanted you to really search for something on the page of interest, and I love the background so much. It had a lot of texture and light and dark in it. So now I'm layering it up, and because that tissue paper needs to be stuck on top, over the top of fabric, and also that strip of spiderweb, cobweb ribbon, I reinforced the back of the tape, the tissue paper, which I had actually stained earlier on with some of that magenta ink, and now I'm just going to glue on that strip that I've inked all up at the end. So of course that matte medium, that cobweb stuff, I've never really been able to hear it. I've even thrown it in the Xyron and it didn't stick as well as I'd like. So what I did here was just put a big pile of matte medium underneath it, and it's filled up through it. It took quite a long time to dry, but I was happy with that. So now all I'm doing is just adding the top layers and blending in the edges of the photo so it sort of blends into the background. Not really, but really. I kind of like that idea. I like the side that's light, and your eye is actually drawn to that little strip of paper on the right hand corner that's lighter. So now all I'm doing is getting a black burnt umber and neo colour, and I'm just darkening the edges again and where the moulding paste is. Really just giving layer upon layer of texture. And so now I'm just setting all those layers down. I'm just making sure that everything's set down. I know that matte modelling paste will, modelling gel medium will take a long time to dry, and it took like, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours to dry because it was on thick through that cobweb ribbon. So, and I just left it there outside on the table just to really give it a good time to dry. And here I was just having a final look and wondering whether there was anything else I actually wanted to do. I was just checking to see if any of the magenta ink had gotten on that book, because, you know, that's why I got the masking tape around the edges of it. But here's the page, and here's some of my scrapbooking pages that inspired it.